Welcome to this episode of the Christian Focus podcast. My name is Margaret Roberts and I'm the marketing manager at Christian Focus. We believe in the power of books, especially books with a clear gospel message. So here's what we have coming soon. Toward a Reformed Apologetics, a critique of the thought of Cornelius Vantil by Keith A. Mathison. Large trade paperback, 296 pages, £17.99, $24.99. Cornelius Vantil, claiming that all traditional apologetic methodologies were flawed, sought to develop an apologetic method truly consistent with Reformed theology. Whether he achieved this goal has been debated by theologians for almost a century. This book moves the debate in a constructive direction by clearing away misunderstanding and adding to the discussion of apologetic methods an emphasis on actually practicing apologetics. Keith A. Mathison sets out Vantil's system of thought before explaining why many Reformed Christians have not embraced the latter's apologetics, despite its popularity and influence. He outlines biblical, philosophical, theological, historical, and practical concerns, revealing that Vantil's apologetic methodology is consistent with neither Scripture nor Reformed theology. God's Daring Dozen Box Set 3 by Brian J. Wright and John R. Brown contains 4 hardback books, each 40 pages. The box is £29.99 and $39.99, and the individual books are £7.99 and $10.99. This third box set completes this Minor Prophets series, with the messages of Hosea, Amos, Micah and Zechariah now available in storybook form for 4 to 6-year-olds. Each book in the God's Daring Dozen series retells the prophet's message to his original audience and relates its rich truths to Jesus and God's people today. The 4 books in this set are Hosea and God's Love, Amos and God's Roaring Voice, Micah's Hope, Zechariah's Encouragement. In each book we learn about God's judgment for sin, but also his rescue plan in Jesus Christ. They are beautifully illustrated by Lisa Flanagan, with particular attention paid to historical accuracy, a great addition to your family library. Billy Graham by Catherine MacKenzie, trade hardback, 120 pages, £9.99, $13.99. Billy Graham was one of the most influential figures of the 20th century. Having been converted as a 16-year-old, it wasn't long before his preaching ministry started. With the help of his wife Ruth and many other friends and colleagues, he preached to over 80 million people in more than 185 countries in his lifetime. From paying the bail money to get Martin Luther King Jr. out of jail, to addressing the memorial service in Washington after the collapse of the World Trade Center, Billy Graham was there for people with a practical help and a timeless message of hope. This narrative-driven introductory biography from the Hall of Faith series offers a compelling glimpse into the heart and mind of a man who touched the lives of millions around the globe. Who, what, why? Who was Moses? What was the tabernacle? And why did the Exodus happen? By Danika, Cooley. Large trade, 96 pages, £6.99 and $9.99. The Who, What, Why series explores the lives, concepts and movements that have shaped the lives of God's people throughout history. With engaging narrative, distinctive illustrations and a timeline of key dates, this series introduces young people to big topics through simple questions. In this third set of books in the series, award-winning author and Bible curriculum developer Danika Cooley turns her attention to biblical history and looks at the life of Moses, the tabernacle and the Exodus. Each book individually will excite 9 to 11-year-olds to learn more, but use all 3 and you can enjoy looking at this crucial section of the Bible from different angles. It's ideal for homeschool or families who want to think more deeply about these Bible stories together. Cory Tim Boom by Jean Watson, trade hardback, 176 pages, £9.99, $13.99. Cory Tim Boom and her family were watchmakers living in Haarlem in Holland in the early 20th century. They loved God and loved to help others where they could. But when the Nazis invaded their country, Cory became involved in the resistance network, helping Jews and others targeted by the Nazi regime find safe places to hide, including in a secret room in the Tim Boom's own house. But when they were discovered, little did Cory realise that the work God called them to was just beginning. God used Cory to show his love, even amidst the suffering of a Nazi concentration camp. The faith and courage displayed by Cory Tim Boom and her family shine through in this short narrative biography. Part of the Hall of Faith series, you will not be able to put this thrilling book down. Be encouraged and challenged in your own faith as you read this amazing story. The Sacred Flame, The Life of Hannah More by Kevin Belmonte. Large trade paperback, 304 pages, £11.99, $15.99. Award-winning biographer Kevin Belmonte has focused his storytelling ability on the fascinating life and faith of Hannah More. She was an 18th century best-selling author, educationalist and philanthropist. Through her literary endeavours, she was more financially successful than Sir Walter Scott and Jane Austen. As well as her writing, however, she endeavoured to improve the lot of those less fortunate than her. She worked alongside William Wilberforce to abolish the slave trade. She and her sisters started schools and educated 1,000 poor students a year for decades. She also worked to make sure girls would be educated, which was not usual at the time. Yet she had her own difficulties, overcoming tragedy and pain, loss and failure. Pick up this book and learn how her faith was the sacred flame that powered her whole life. Our God Reigns, an amillennial commentary on Revelation by Sam Storms, large trade hardback, 560 pages, £25.99, $39.99. Those who enjoyed Sam Storms' book Kingdom Come, the amillennial alternative, will love this latest offering. Arguing that Revelation is meant to be understandable and edifying for all Christians, Storms combines scholarly insight with a conversational style in this accessible amillennial commentary. Greek nuances and doctrinal issues are balanced with practical applications, helping readers grasp Revelation's relevance and blessings for today's church. An excellent read for those looking to better understand the message of Revelation. The Pastor's Public Ministry, Leading in Worship, Praise, Prayer and Preaching by Terry L. Johnson. Trade paperback, 104 pages, £8.99, $12.99. With nearly 40 years of experience and an abundance of practical wisdom, Terry Johnson guides pastors to think through the importance of publicly leading in worship, praise, prayer and preaching. He maintains that those who have been called to ministry should prioritise these things. He gives readers a simple guide for thinking through each aspect of a Sunday service. Whether you're just starting out in ministry or have been serving the Lord for many years, a prayerful reading of this book will be of great benefit to your ministry and your congregation. Righteous by Design, Covenantal Merit and Adam's Original Integrity by Harrison Perkins. Large trade paperback, 384 pages, £17.99, $24.99. From the medieval period into modern Roman Catholicism, many have believed that because original righteousness was superadded to our nature, personal righteousness could be restored by grace after the fall in such a way as to allow us to merit everlasting life through works. By contrast, the Reformation tradition has held that sin has damaged our nature so thoroughly we can be saved by grace alone. Harrison Perkins exhibits a thorough historical investigation of medieval and counter-Reformation theology, exploring sources seldom treated in Reformed literature. He presents a theological case that original righteousness was natural to Adam before the fall, and that Adam could have merited everlasting life according to the covenant of works. Perkins argues for the Protestant law-gospel distinction through the lens of the Imago Dei to highlight the sufficiency of Christ and his work. Daily Readings, John Bunyan by Roger Duke. 160 by 110 millimetres, 376 pages, £19.99, $25.99. John Bunyan was a preacher, theologian and author whose best-known work, The Pilgrim's Progress, has challenged and influenced readers for almost 350 years. Roger Duke is a Baptist minister whose life was changed by John Bunyan, and he has curated a selection of Bunyan's writings with one short reading for every day. It's a wonderful introduction to his wider works and will encourage you to explore and marvel at the depths of the riches of God's grace. Bound in imitation leather with a ribbon bookmark, this would make an attractive gift.